Good evening and welcome to the BC Voice Midweek Radio Show for those listening in Rockingham County and beyond. My name is Dean Barker. I'm a staff member for BC Voice, and tonight I'm going to be your host. Tonight we got four 15-minute segments for you. We got news, we got sports, we got entertainment, and we got the club corner. To start us off tonight, we got news. We got Hannah Hunnicutt and Isaac Miller talking about news for us. We got talking the Southview fire last year and revisiting to it, and a military-style rifle ban that was not happening in Virginia. So, going to send it off to them right now.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Midweek Radio Show news segment. I'm Isaac.
I'm Hannah.
And we are going to start you off with some local news tonight and then take everything nationally.
All right, so let's talk about this bill. The bill was supposed to ban military rifles in Virginia, but it was defeated Monday by the Senate. The bill was created after the shooting in Virginia Beach last year that killed 12 people in May. I don't know if you remember, but I certainly remember when that happened. The law would prohibit the buying and selling of manufacturing of military-style weapons, including magazines that would hold more than 12 rounds of ammo. The votes were 10-5. 4 Democrats voted against the gun control law. Mr. Craig Deeds, being one of them, voted for the bill. Voted against the bill. Said why he voted against it. That there was discomfort about outright banning assault rifles because lawmakers were having a hard time defining what would be considered an assault rifle. Causing him to vote against it because he said a lot of questions were coming out of this. It took weeks for the lawmakers to figure out. However, the Gun Control Act is still not over. The Senate and the House Representatives are giving final approval to 5 more gun control bills by the end of this month. Harrisonburg firefighters rescued a dog 2 days ago in a massive fire that destroyed Harrisonburg's Southview apartments, displacing many JMU students. However, 2 days after the fire, a student had lost her dog, Rebel, goes to the apartment with her friend and hears a dog barking from her old window. She calls the fire department and police to rescue her dog, and Rebel was found under a desk in her room, and Rebel's nose was the only thing harmed by the fire.
That's incredible.
I know. I was like, wow, that's so great. And then there were some lit signs on I-81 down the Port Republic overpass that said "Fund Our Schools." Was held by education advocates with the Virginia Educated United. Kathy Beery said, "Honor legislators say schools are important, but they do not do the funding for it." Virginia Governor Ralph Northam proposed a $1.2 billion education budget. It raised teachers to pay from 3% to 5%. However, Virginia still lacks the funding that other states do on educating funding, which is really upsetting.
It is, yeah. And, Virginia actually, it's, as of 2017, it was roughly 25th in the nation, so smack in the middle on the amount of money it spent per student on education. I believe it was a little over $11,000 a student is what they spent. And for comparison, Washington, D.C., which obviously has a much smaller student population, but they spent around $24,000 a year on education in that time frame. So we're going to take some things now to some national news. Got some really interesting topics going on this week. The first of which, the Boy Scouts of America declared bankruptcy on Tuesday. Now, this bankruptcy was filed by the national organization, so they said the bankruptcy will not affect the day-to-day operations of local Boy Scout troops. They're filing a Chapter 11 bankruptcy in the state of Delaware, and for those who may not know, a Chapter 11 bankruptcy means that the organization will be able to continue operating. It's simply a restructuring of the debt. Now, the main complicator behind this case and what ultimately kind of pushed it is the thousands of lawsuits that have been filed against the Boy Scouts in the last few years from individuals who were sexually abused as children throughout their time in the Scouts. And unfortunately, this isn't something that was contained to a recent pattern or anything like that. This is something that's been going on for nearly as long as the group has been around. In fact, a 1935 New York Times article, the organization was described in it having a file of hundreds of individuals who they labeled as, quote, degenerates for sexual assault that they had banned from the organization and continuing to be a part of it in the future. Now, the national chairman of the Boy Scouts of America, Jim Turley, he said in an open letter to the sexual abuse victims that the Scouts were not looking to dodge responsibility for what happened to them or avoid giving them compensation, that they were simply trying to establish a large trust fund to be able to pay the victims out of instead of handling it piece by piece in individual lawsuits. So this is obviously, as someone who personally was part of the Boy Scouts myself as a kid, this is something that's really tough to see. I mean, tough to see in any organization that you've ever been part of, but it's kind of just disgusting.
Yeah.
You know, what happened to all these boys and the fact that even so many of them now, there are people filing lawsuits as old as their 90s against a group. So it's tough. And more recently, a professor at the University of Virginia, Janet Warren, she was actually hired by the Boy Scouts earlier in the 2010s to review their what they called perversion files, which contained records of volunteers who had been barred from the group for what they called reasonable allegations of child sexual abuse. Upon her review, which took her roughly 5 years, Miss Warren found that from 1944 to 2016, there were almost 8,000 individuals placed on that list.
It's like the Catholic priest thing all over again.
It really is.
That's so depressing. I didn't even know about that. Wow.
Yeah, it's tough to see stuff like this, you know, especially in some. Well, this is an organization that's one of kind of in recent memory one of the most kind of important to American culture, especially if you have a young son or you were a part of it yourself. You know, this was something that for generations you sent your son to Boy Scouts and he learned skills there, but now it's coming out that that might not have been the only thing he was learning there, unfortunately. In other news, a Mexican citizen was arrested in Miami on Sunday for allegedly spying on the United States on the behalf of Russia. Hector Alejandro Cabrera Fuentes and his wife were preparing to board a flight back home to Mexico on Sunday whenever a customs official asked to check their phones. When the official checked the phone of Mr. Fuentes' wife, he found a recently deleted close-up picture of a license plate, which, upon further investigation, was found to belong to the vehicle of a U.S. government information source. Now, Mr. Fuentes, not long after this photo was found, he admitted that he had his wife take the photo for him. And in a further confession investigation, the federal prosecutors found that Mr. Fuentes was acting on behalf of a Russian government official who had originally recruited him in 2019. In a statement from the Department of Justice, they said the Russian official told Fuentes not to rent the apartment in Fuentes' own name and not to tell his family about their meetings. Now, this official, he wanted him in Miami to get information on potential sources for the U.S. government as far as covert information. Now, Mr. Fuentes met with this Russian official twice in the city of Moscow. During a meeting they had this month, the official told Fuentes to locate the car, obtain the source's vehicle license plate number, and note the physical location of the source's vehicle, which, of course, he did, but was stopped by federal investigators. So now Mr. Fuentes has been charged with acting on behalf of a foreign agent without notifying the Attorney General, and he has also been charged with conspiracy to act on behalf of a foreign agent.
That's crazy. Like, just thinking that we can't trust anybody. And I wonder what they were even planning for that car and license plate. Like, that's crazy. You can't trust anybody nowadays.
Right. It's almost similar to, do you think of back when we were in the Cold War with the Soviet Union, you know, spying on each other was kind of a big thing. And now here it is happening again in 2020.
Yeah.
So, taking us up back now to Massachusetts now, actually, a longtime state representative there by the name of David Nagel was arrested Tuesday for stealing thousands of dollars in campaign funds. The charges, which there are 28 total, are for wire fraud, bank fraud, making false statements to a bank, and filing false tax returns. Now, according to the indictment, Mr. Nagel falsified multiple bank loan applications to obtain almost $400,000 and also claimed fraudulent deductions on his tax returns. Now, the authorities claim that this scheme started in 2014 and that Mr. Nagel used the funds primarily to help finance a gambling addiction. Now, Mr. Nagel has also held public office in the state of Massachusetts since 1999, and ironically enough is the former head of the Massachusetts House Ethics Committee, and also served on that committee at the time of his arrest. He has pleaded not guilty to all charges that have been filed against him, and he was released on a $25,000 bond. Now, some of the things he did with his money were quite interesting. According to the indictment, he had all sorts of places he was funneling this stuff to. He, among other things, he paid off a debt at casinos around New England. He would also use the money to buy rental cars in order to get to these casinos. He used the debt for all sorts of personal expenses, including flowers for his girlfriend, gas, hotel rooms, and meal charges. Some of these charges, in fact, he actually tried to have reimbursed by the state of Massachusetts as legitimate needed spending. There was another $6,000 spent on membership dues and fees to a local golf course of which he attended. He later would go on to list that spending as campaign-related on state filings. And he also spent another $8,000 on gift cards for his personal use. Now, to put in perspective what kind of charges this will carry for him, the charges of bank fraud and filing false tax returns each come with a penalty of up to 30 years and a $1 million fine. So, if he's found guilty, he's looking at a long, long time.
Oh, yeah, no. Well, I mean, how much he's abusing his power to pay off, like, flowers for his girlfriend.
Right, just all of these personal expenses, and he's just, we'll just throw some campaign money at it, you know. And I just think it's great that this guy was on the House Ethics Committee. He led the Ethics Committee at one point, and then here he is getting hundreds of thousands of dollars in false money to use for his own personal gain.
This is where the auditors come in. Does anybody check this occasionally? Like, I mean, this makes me think, like, oh my gosh, is somebody actually checking this? Like, it's sad that they had to get up to $28,000 and more that he used, and then they're like, oh yeah, by the way, this is not, like, it took them that long to figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and, you know, this is because this is something that's been going on now for 6 years pushing. Yeah. So, you know, this is definitely a huge, huge thing for him. And it's obviously a really bad stain on his public reputation. Mm-hmm. Odds are he's never getting back into a public office again, especially if he's found guilty. Even if he's not, this is not the kind of press you want to generate as a state representative.
No, it's not.
Now, something else worth mentioning, too, about this case is that the Attorney General in the state of Massachusetts, he had an interesting quote I want to read to you.
Yes, well, I think overall, if we look at all the things that have happened nationally, it's just like, it's really a tough time for our country right now. If you look at it, we have the people we can't trust to. I mean, like the Mexican with the Russian authorities. Like, I wonder, like, why they, like, what they're looking for and why they hired him.
Oh, absolutely. And I think in doing that, it is kind of, I guess, in the world of espionage. Obviously, I'm not well versed in spying on other nations, but finding an outsider does certainly sound like a good angle to take, because there's no the trouble with pulling someone like, say, an American to spy on America. At the end of the day, they're an American, so you can't really be sure, as a Russian agent trying to get this guy to cooperate, you can't really be sure that he's going to do what you want him to as you go into
And they don't have that leverage of if he has to be punished in USA, not Russia, so they don't have that backing. So
right, yeah, absolutely. He did confess as well to everything to the investigators when they took him into custody at that airport. So,
well, quick question: what did you think? Since I totally skipped over your review, what did you think about the military style rifles the Virginia banned?
Well, ultimately, I think I'm kind of torn on where I stand personally on assault weapon bans. I certainly see the point that Mr. Craig Deeds was making in his statement as to why he voted against it. And something worth remembering, too, is that this will be reconsidered again next year. There's potential that this could come before the Senate again and could still pass. So it's not entirely dead, but the process is much slower.
Yeah.
And with that, folks, our time is up. We will catch you next week. You all have a safe week and enjoy your evening.
All right, thank you, Hannah and Isaac, doing your best to bring us up to date in local and national news. Coming up next, we have sports with Joe Caron, Mo Kamara, and Christian Sherman. They are going to talk about Bridgewater basketball, the NBA, the MLB, and the XFL, and a mock draft list. So let's send it over to them.
What's up, Bridgewater? I'm Joe.
I'm Christian.
And I'm Mo.
And we're going to be covering some sports for you guys today, local, national, everything you want to hear.
Taking care of it all.
Yeah, covering the whole board. So we'll start out with local basketball. The Bridgewater team, we beat Randolph on Wednesday, 85 to 80.
Good look.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah,
good look
yeah.
for the boys.
Yeah,
It's a good win.
That's a lot of points. That's a bucket. And then we lost to Roanoke on Saturday, 76 to 44. That was a tough one. You know, I think we had a rough start. It was like 15-0 starting off, so that was just hard to get over that.
I'll give them 1-1 on the weekend.
But
so yeah,
no.
I'll give them that.
We're
It's their senior day too.
we're gonna play Hampton-Sydney on Saturday. Hampton-Sydney's 13-10. They're on a 3-game losing streak. So I definitely think
Is that away?
Yeah, we're playing at Hampton-Sydney on Saturday.
Okay.
That's the last game of the regular season.
Yeah.
I think we can pull that one off. If I know I've seen the team when they're hot and when they're hitting threes, we're a very hard team to stop offensively. Playoffs start next week. So we're at 8-16, 4-11 in the conference, and we're 9th in the ODAC.
But
And
it's
then
basketball, so everybody gets a
Yeah,
shot.
I believe like the top 10 teams make the playoffs. So
Winning, you're in.
yeah, no, if we get this win at Hampton-Sydney, we're in the playoffs.
They're going to take
and,
care of business, I believe. in them.
Yeah, I like our chances there.
I don't know if it's still the case, but I know at one point, 3 of the top teams in the nation were in our conference.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind
Yeah,
of
so,
it's kind of like
yeah.
what we're going up against. When
Yeah.
like you look at like their record and stuff like that.
No, yeah, I mean definitely. I know Randolph-Macon was like top 5 a couple weeks ago. I think they still are.
Randolph-Macon, Virginia Wesleyan.
And it's weird because you look at like really, it's not like there's any players on those teams that are like really exceptional individual players, but they kind of just all play well together and they kind of just play as a team. So, but yeah, so women's basketball, we lost to Shenandoah 83-70 on Wednesday. We lost to Lynchburg 67-59 on Saturday. And it's weird because our women's team has already beaten both those teams earlier in the season when we had like a 10-game winning streak.
Yeah.
So I mean, I know, you know, we could beat those.
Third in the conference right now. So
Yeah. No, I think we could beat those teams.
they took care of business so they could rest them.
8 out of 10 times.
The women are playing locally right now at Eastern Mennonite.
Yeah, EMU, yeah.
EMU. It's a close game, isn't it?
It's 60-61 if the live update is
60-61, yeah, so it was a close game. So
Yeah.
we pulling for them.
Yeah.
I'm going to be checking my phones.
Yes, sir. And
But,
then we play Emory and Henry on Saturday. I know Emory and Henry's they're pretty high up in the conference, so that'll be a tough game. And then, like Christian said, we're 13-10, 12-4 in the conference, sitting at third. And I mean, we're looking really good this year for the conference tournament. I'm really excited to see how our girls do this year.
It's interesting because almost all of our wins came in one win streak.
Yeah, we had
won
that.
10 in a row. So
Yeah.
it's
That was
crazy.
huge. That was huge.
Somebody who definitely had some of those games. There was some great games. So that's good that they rode that.
Nah,
And
I mean,
yeah, but
that's
on
huge.
a different note,
Moving on to the NBA. What's
All-Star weekend,
what's
this
good with
past
that?
Valentine's Day weekend, was I'd say one of the most riveting All-Star weekends in the past couple of years.
Definitely very entertaining.
Definitely an
Bad.
exciting night.
Yeah.
Definitely benefited from the new format. A target score and no game clock.
They reset it at the fourth quarter, and of course they played the 157. It was literally back and forth with foul calls. Players was going serious. Guys going at guys.
That's the thing.
Kawhi won that. Yeah, Kawhi had 30 with the MVP.
Yeah, guys drawing charges.
Kyle Lowry looking like Kyle Lowry. So killer Kyle.
Like last couple minutes, like it was looking like playoff defense.
Yeah, they were serious.
And if you look at the teams, it was Team Giannis was like, I mean they're all stars, but
yeah,
Team
Giannis
LeBron
is a horrible GM. Yeah,
Team LeBron had a way better roster.
LeBron had a better squad.
So it was like kind of like a real underdog type thing. So I was surprised it was so close.
Yeah, I seen that. I knew it was gonna be when they weren't trying, but I expected Team LeBron to step on the pedal when they got late.
The Rising Stars game or like the young rookies game.
I think
the Rising Stars game was good too. Miles Bridges was out of Charlotte. For that one, but yeah, they went crazy, man.
I think it's funny how you have guys that made the All-Star game that are also in the Rising Stars game. So it's like
like Luka Doncic. Luka didn't start he started, but he didn't play the whole second half of the Rising Stars because he was playing with the big boys. But it was crazy because he didn't really play that much in the seniors All-Star game towards the late fourth quarter. But hey,
who was it who had the halftime buzzer beater?
Trae Young.
Trae Young had that
one. I don't know if it was at halftime or not, but yeah, he had a half court buzzer.
It might have been at the quarter. It was from half court.
Then you had a showdown in the dunk contest too.
That might have been an all-time contest. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Personally, that was one of the best ones I've seen. It went back and forth. I was seeing, I wasn't believing the dunks. I was seeing back and forth between Aaron Gordon and Derrick Jones. Dwight Howard didn't even make it to the final round. His dunk, he did the throwback 2008 Superman. He brought it back. Yeah. He's 34 years old, still getting up there like that. Head at the rim, throwing the ball in.
He's a big dude too. That's
But
impressive.
pretty much Aaron Gordon he got
I personally think he's been.
Yep.
He should have 2 trophies.
He should have 2 trophies.
I think he won against.
He was robbed. Dwayne Wade made some questionable calls. He made some questionable 9s on clear 50 dunks.
I mean, when you dunk over a guy that's 7'5",
He did dunk over 7'5" Taco Fall.
7'5" guy.
I saw that headline. I was shocked. But then I mean, you watched it and he kind of like, pushes him down a little.
No, he clears him on the way up.
He clears him on the way up. 7'5", Joe. Are you jumping?
I know.
Joe,
But just
7'5"
watch.
can't even come in this room.
You know what?
Taco can't fit in the room we're in,
That's
and
true.
you know it.
Yeah, for him to get this door.
I ain't jumping over Taco.
I give you $20. You could jump
Not with
over
the
me, and I'm
trampoline.
6'1".
And he actually hits his. It's not even his
Even if
hip.
I-
He hits his hands on the way.
I couldn't do that with moon shoes on.
Still,
so
but I can do that with a Nerf ball. I would roll my ankle.
Yeah, I felt bad.
I
but
would roll
Aaron
my
Gordon-
ankle.
Cause it's not like he goes out there and he's not trying. Like he's actually trying to win this thing. Like he actually cares about it. So for him to not get recognized.
He said that he was done after it. Actually, he did say that this was gonna be the last one. He got robbed 2 years in a row. But hey, he gave us 2 of the best second place finishes in dunk contest history. I'd probably put this in my top 3 dunk contests, maybe at a 2.
Yeah.
So it was good. It was a successful night.
Was Zach Levine? Was Zach Levine?
Nah,
getting
Zach
in
Levine
there?
was not in it. He tried to be in the
Surprising.
shooting contest, and he didn't even make it past the first round.
Yikes.
Speaking of the
Yeah, he
shooting
was.
contest, shout out Buddy Hield. I did.
Yeah.
He wasn't my pick to win it. I said he would. I mean, Devin Booker, they were shooting crazy, actually. I watched it. They were all going crazy. Devin Booker, they was putting up 27. He hit him on the last shot to pass him with 28. So, yeah, shout out Buddy Hield for real.
Yeah, that was pretty intense.
Yeah.
I think it's funny. You got all these good shooters, and you always get one guy that can't make anything when he gets up
Yeah.
there.
Those some guys forward. And
This year's
Trae
guy
Young
from
put up
Charlotte.
15 in his
Yeah.
round. He put
Yeah.
up 15, yeah.
And it's funny that like I feel like if it was for whatever reason, if it was a game, I feel like they would do better. But for some reason, they just like can't knock anything down.
I also feel like the quality of the standards of the 3-point contest has really been going up. Because I remember when we used to watch the 3-point contest, you could probably win it with 17 or 18. Well, now, the first round, Trae Young went first to hit 15 threes. Usually that's a good number, but the second was Devin Booker. He hit 27. So now the number would be 27. So, the standard is getting high. Everyone can shoot. It's snipers that's literally in it. The defending champion, Joe Harris, he had 24. He didn't even get out the first round. He needed 25 to get out the first round.
Well, now they got a lot of different balls that are worth different amounts of points.
Yeah,
And they
that
got
was a new tweak that they had.
And they got the new one that's way further back.
So yeah,
But yeah, apart from
great.
apart from a very successful All-Star weekend, from what I'm gathering, just in general, NBA, we got the Lakers on top of the West. We got the Bucks on top of the East. What are we, 2 months out from playoffs?
Probably.
They start in
less than
April.
a month. Yeah, or less than 2 months. I mean,
Something like that.
because the All-Star game is really like 2/3 of the way through the season. It's not actually like you think it's the halfway point,
Alright.
but it's not.
So,
But
final third of the regular season. If you had to make prediction who's gonna be in the finals, who are we going with?
I won't go as far to say finals. I'll say in the conference finals. Who do you see the
Conference
last two finals in the East and the West? In the East, of course, the
Bucks are so far
as
ahead of
number one.
everybody else.
They have a foot in. I feel like the 76ers are gonna get their act together. It will be the 76ers and the Bucks, and they play this week actually. But
Yeah, 76ers
Yeah.
are playing really well right now.
so
They're playing as a team.
yeah, that's the premium matchup. Christmas Day they matched up. The Sixers beat them by 20. So we'll
Yeah,
see
that was a big
how
one.
they match up. That's a big one.
the Bucks are on pace to have one of like the best records
Yeah,
of
they're
all time
40.
right
They're
now.
46-8 right now.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah.
I'm surprised to still see the Raptors staying at
yeah.
in second.
Yeah,
I
the
didn't
Raptors.
know. I didn't realize how deep they were.
They're really They
Yeah.
were really a real sleeper this year.
I could see. I don't know. I
I
can't.
feel like they have earned people's respect.
I think the Celtics make the most sense to be
Their
in the
I mean,
conference
roster,
final-
yeah.
to be in the
Kemba, of
conference
course.
finals.
That's an all-star point guard.
Because
You got
they're the only team in the East with 2 All-Stars. Well,
Jason Tatum.
probably
like a
3
vet.
actually. Yeah, Jason
Yeah.
Tatum by himself and Kemba and Jay.
And then
When
Gordon.
Jaylen Brown really wants to be an all-star, he can.
He definitely
When
can,
Gordon
yeah.
wants to be an all-star, he can.
Yeah.
They just need a big. That's the problem. Because the other Eastern teams, their bigs is Ennis Cantor or the other guy, Daniel Theis.
yeah.
Guys, these guys, their bigs are 80s on 2K.
And then
Both of them are 80s on 2K.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the other bigs in the East, like Robin
Yeah.
and Brooke Lopez on the Bucks, and, of course, Giannis. And then Philly has Joel Embiid, of course, and Al
Ben.
Horford and Ben Simmons. So, you know,
the 76ers
Who's
have
actually,
too
like-
many big men.
even the Toronto got what, Serge Ibaka, they got
Marc
Pascal, Siakam, and Gasol.
Yeah.
So yeah, can they really tend with even Indiana? Indiana has Sabonis. He made the All-Star game. They got Miles Turner. So will the Celtics size be a problem?
Heat have Adebayo.
Yep. That's another sleeper to come out the East. The Heat.
All right.
I think in the West,
Let's talk about the West.
I can't picture any 2 other teams besides.
Yeah, I don't know why
Lakers
we
and the
spend so much
Clippers.
time on the East. I don't
That's
even
fine.
watch Eastern Conference games
That's
during
fine.
the season. I watch them in the playoffs. But yeah, the West Coast, I'm just gonna say
If it's
quick.
If it's anybody but the Lakers and the Clippers,
Yeah,
I'd be really surprised.
yeah. I want Lakers and
Nugs?
Clippers. The only thing I let slide is Houston instead of the Clippers, but the Lakers have to be in there.
The Nugs.
No,
The Nugs are
too
playing
young.
well.
It's too many teams. We're talking about the
Jokic-
top two.
Jokic is having a good season.
Who will be the top? Nah, not against other big teams. Not against the Lakers.
Yeah, I
Anthony
don't know.
Davis bullied him.
It's really him and Murray.
Embiid bullied him all All-Star game. He wouldn't want to see him in the finals.
All right.
I could see the Rockets, but James Harden just, I don't know. It's just
The
something. about
commitment
way
to
that
small
they
ball,
play.
they traded away Clint Capella.
Yeah,
So now they go small ball.
It's
6'5" PJ Tucker is their center.
yeah.
So how do you like that matchup? 6'5" PJ Tucker on 6'11" AD.
Yeah,
And
it doesn't
JaVale
make
McGee
sense.
7 foot, or Dwight,
And
who's
Dwight
also
Howard,
7
yeah.
foot, or if Boogie gets healthy, 7 foot,
Yeah,
or LeBron, who's 6'9" himself.
yeah.
All right. So
yeah.
which
We're supposed to get a time review, but I can't
Yeah.
see him. The screen darkness.
we fine. We're fine.
But we're good.
Yeah. So that's what's going on in the NBA. Just to wrap.
MLB, how do you feel about Astros real quick before we have to get out of here? How do you feel
I
about
mean, I'm not entirely sure. So they stole opposing team signs like back in 2017 and 2018. I mean, I think I agree with what they're doing. Like at this point, like what are you gonna do?
that? I feel like the reason for the real outrage is because Manfred, who's the league commissioner, I believe he held out the players he kept all the players have immunity. So without
Okay.
punishing the players, and the only people that got fired were the manager and the GM, I believe, because they knew about it. But nothing happened to the players. So players around the league and teams are saying that baseball, of course, they're gonna offer their own justice.
I mean, it's kind of similar
So,
to what
yeah.
happened like with
Players
Reggie
gonna
Bush.
be getting hit with balls all season.
That's gonna be
think,
interesting.
yeah.
It's just, I don't know why it just doesn't make sense for there to be no punishment for such an egregious thing. Like,
Yeah,
for
they
you
want
to
a
cheat
title
all
off of it.
season, and for you to win a World Series off of cheating,
Yeah.
and then not get any sort of punishment just doesn't really.
The
Yeah,
title
I don't
really
know.
should be rescinded.
It's a tough situation.
But hey,
But that's all we have for you tonight, Bridgewater.
go Nats.
Yes, sir. I'm Joe.
I'm Christian.
And I'm Mo. Go Redskins.
Yeah, roll dirty Eags.
All right, thank you, Joe, Mo, and Christian, bringing us up to date in what's going on in BC sports and international sports. Coming up next, we've got entertainment with Zach Rogers and Ayinde Roberts. They're gonna be talking about BC Eagles productions and what's going on at the Sipe Center, the TV show and movie news, video game news and updates, and what's going on in tech news. You're listening to BC Voice Radio on bcvoice.org.
What's going on, everybody?
Hello.
All right, we got some entertainment stuff to talk about. First, we're going to go over to some of the stuff that's happening here locally. First things first, we got here on campus, we have Too Much Light Makes the Baby Go Blind. It's an ensemble experiment in presenting 30 plays in 60 minutes.
So the production dates are from February 20th to the 22nd, that's at 8. And then on the 23rd, that's a Saturday, starts at 3, which is a matinee. And then we also have locally for the Sipe Center this week showing Underwater from Thursday to Sunday, and Thursday and Friday BC residents and students get in for free.
I just want to make sure that the 23rd is a Sunday.
Oh, you right.
20th.
I'm so
20th,
sorry.
22nd, that's Thursday through Saturday. It
I don't know
starts at 8
why.
o'clock.
I don't know why I had that in my mind. It was like a Saturday. Whatever.
Listen, every weekend feels like a Saturday.
Yeah,
Every
you're right.
It feels like a Saturday. But we got some TV and movie news. First up, I have to talk about the Johnny Depp Amber Heard allegations. If those of you are unaware of, there's been this huge legal battle going on between the two, and apparently there has been more information coming out where Amber Heard is she's just not a good person at this point. Apparently, this is coming. This is all alleged. Nothing. There's no way to corroborate any of this, but Amber Heard allegedly defecated on Johnny Depp's bed and punched him for being late to one of her parties.
That's just insane.
Yeah, it's awful.
I know nothing about this situation prior to maybe not today, but I know little bits and pieces of information, but that's insane.
And it's incredibly awful. I hope Johnny Depp does get some of the
I hope
justice that he deserves. But in lighter news,
I'm so excited.
This Friday, finally, after a long wait, we are finally getting the last season of Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
So excited, dude! How excited are you for this?
Dude, I cannot wait. Clone Wars is one of the best Star Wars shows ever, just period. Not trying to differentiate between live action or animated. It's the best.
I mean, when you got a TV show as good as the Clone Wars, you can stretch it out between episodes and good storylines.
Yeah. So apparently, the Clone Wars will have 12 episodes, and they will be releasing week by week, which ends. So the final episode will air on May the 8th. So it's hard. It's hard to swallow, but also they did the same thing with the Mandalorian. You know what I mean?
It makes sense from a streaming wise. It makes sense to do that. But also, I want all the Star Wars and to binge it at the same time. That's my thing. I've
heard a lot of people who were talking about the Mandalorian. They wanted all the episodes to be out just at once. That way, they can just watch the whole series. And I was like, I understand because sometimes because people they don't want to have to wait. But especially if there's something that they've been waiting for too long already. But also, you don't want to fully front load yourself and be completely.
But also, there's a thing in just waiting each week and there's a cliffhanger. What's gonna happen? And so there's a difference, and there's a thing of waiting for it, which I hate waiting, but it will be good.
Listen, everybody hates waiting.
Yeah.
It was hard waiting for the Mandalorian episodes to come out.
Yes, but it was worth it.
Oh yeah,
especially the last episode. I can talk about that.
We can't spoil it here, but just know if you know your Star Wars lore, there's gonna be some moments in there where you're just that's really cool. I'm really excited for that.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I think we have some video game news, which I'll pass on to you.
Oh yeah. This is a little bit sad. Zach, you and I are really big video
Yes.
gamers. We love
Yes.
video games. Not only video games, but we also love video game conventions.
No, they're really good.
And one of the biggest ones of all gaming
Oh,
is
it's pretty
E3.
much- it's-
Electronic Entertainment
Yes.
Expo. It's held every year, and usually there's a man by the name of Jeff Keighley who would usually host or attend the event, and he confirmed this year that he's not going to be in attendance
That's sad.
at E3 2020. I actually have a quote from him here. He says in his announcement that I think E3 needs to become more digital and global. It's a brand that means a lot to people, but it shouldn't just be a show floor. Let's really think about this. Like, Jeff Keighley has been going to E3 for 25 years.
That's insane.
You do the math. He has been to every single E3 since its inception.
Dang, that's insane.
Honestly, it really worries me that he is not going to be at this convention. That really scares me because I know a lot of people have had problems with last year's E3.
Yeah, I was gonna say last year was pretty much a down year for them, and especially since Jeff Keighley is not coming this year. And segue into that, PlayStation's not coming either.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this one I kind of understand. This is Sony's second year not going to E3.
Which makes sense, but how are they gonna like release all their new content? What are they gonna do?
I think they might do a state of play like they did last year instead of going to E3. But I mean, just sticking with E3 since we're gonna be here for a little bit. Like, think about the poll that Keighley has. He is the host of he's the guy that does the Game Awards.
Yeah.
So, like, a big key figure not being at this convention is very worrying. And a huge company in the name of PlayStation not being there is also moderately worrying. It's kind of...
I don't think it'll be terrible. It will definitely feel the impacts of Jeff Keighley and PlayStation not being there. Like, both of them not being there. But... I don't think it'll crash and burn. They still got some good.
I mean,
they're
going to have Nintendo's going to be there, so I think we're going to get some Smash news.
And they also got like big names like Bethesda, and they still have Microsoft there.
Bethesda needs to start working on.
They should
make sure Fallout 76 can be playable.
Yeah.
Speaking of PlayStation pulling out of conferences, it's just reported this not too long ago that PlayStation has been pulled out of PAX East due to the coronavirus. This one I think I don't think it has anything to do with like any back dealings. It's just the virus is really bad.
Well, speaking of the virus, which we won't get into too much, was reading an article that said at least like the death toll has gotten up to 2,000, which is insane. Which I can see why they're pulling out of it. Which it is becoming a global epidemic, and so hopefully that can slow down soon, but I understand why they're pulling out of PAX East.
And we got a little bit more gaming news. So for those of you who are excited for Marvel's Avengers, good news, the pre-orders just went live. They have the standard deluxe edition and a collector's edition that has a bunch of like sort of figurines for all the core Avengers films. Not films, characters. Wow, I'm just still stuck on the MCU, man. It's weird.
It is kind of weird having an Avengers game that's not like MCU based.
Right.
But yeah, so what I'm seeing is that when you buy the game, you get access to the closed beta.
Yes, you'll get access to the beta, which I think is going to be a couple weeks before the game goes live, which is. I mean, cool.
Yeah.
I would hope to, be able to make sure I test the game and make sure, it's playable.
I feel like it's crazy that they're having pre-orders so soon. Because it's February and the game comes out in September. Which makes sense to open it up now, but it feels too soon. You're hyping it up way too early, but maybe you just hype it up enough now and over the summer.
Yeah, and if you're wondering what else comes with the pre-order bonus, like any other pre-order bonuses, you get a nameplate, which I think is sort of some of the little online gimmicks that they have for the game. And you also get the Marvel Legacy Outfits pack, which is basically they're old school Avengers outfits.
Ooh, I'm looking at this and I'm liking it. I like the costumes.
And the deluxe edition, if you pre-order the deluxe edition, you also get the Obsidian Outfit pack, which is basically a lot of the Avengers outfits, but they're all in gold, and it's like black and gold. And you also have, you also get some credits, which I think is spent for upgrading characters, and you also get, I think you get a theme as well for your PlayStation, the dynamic theme. And we got to talk about the PS5 because that's coming out soon. Rumored price tag is sitting at $450, man.
I just want to say that I was looking, I don't know what, I was just scrolling through Google and I saw a thing that said that PlayStation 5 would be $800 and I'm like, that's not.
No,
that can't be right.
They would never sell a console if their price tag was $800.
No, but $450 seems like a reasonable price, and that's about the same price the Series X will go for.
Yeah, that's I think that was the big thing is that PlayStation was waiting to see what the Series X was going what their price tag is going to be, and they're going to try to match that.
Speaking of like consoles and like other platforms, Google Stadia.
Oh.
And its failures.
Oh, wow.
Let's talk a lot about that.
Wow, what is there else to talk about that hasn't already been said?
Oh my gosh.
Here, I got you.
Okay.
So they released an update.
Oh, here we go.
So they were, according to the update, they were supposed to release 120 games for Google Stadia.
Yeah.
None of them have showed up on the Stadia.
0.
Absolutely none of them.
Not a single one.
Nope.
That's... If you expect to profit off of this, that's why.
Like I don't get it. I this is a great idea. It's a great concept.
It is. I saw it and I was like, oh, that'd be really cool to bring it on the go, put it on your phone, put it wherever you.
Literally, all the update did was that it expanded Stadia to Asus, Razer, and Samsung phones.
That's it. That's it.
And
how long has this been out for?
This came out like last year,
like August, September,
something like that.
It's been
awful, dude.
It's been at least 6 months.
And apparently, there's a lot of people talking about this There's like we were talking earlier, like the frame data drops, like it's very laggy. Oh man, it's so bad.
So
Ryan, you got some stuff to talk about.
I do.
I want you to go ahead.
I don't know how much of a tech enthusiast you are.
Listen, I dabble here and there.
I feel like it's important to talk about because like we use our cell phones and technology like every day, our computers, and for me it's exciting to talk about it and to look it up and to see what each company is rolling out. And speaking of companies, Samsung last week had their Samsung Unpacked event that they have every year, and they released their lineup of phones. So this year was the Galaxy S20, the S20 Plus, and the S20 Ultra, which is like an insane phone because it has some of the latest and greatest specs that you literally, they just jam-packed into. And so what else? They're releasing all the phones can be available in 5G, but they're at an extra cost, which is to be expected.
Yeah. Apparently I'm looking at the site right now for the S20 and S20 and all this. Apparently the phone's supposed to revolutionize photography, which is the same.
Oh, yeah.
Which is the same thing the iPhone X touted as well.
Well,
so I don't know if you got something else to sort of be like.
Well, in the phone world, Google Pixel is like the king of cameras, like the quality. But what they're claiming is that this will be the new front runner for cameras. And what I've seen in the specs and some of the photos that are taken is insane. But they are charging a heavy price with this.
What's the price tag?
I believe so. I think it starts at 1,000 for the original, which is they do that for the iPhone. But then for the other one they go up 100, and I think the Ultra starts at $1,359.
Oh my gosh!
And plus
this hurts my soul.
And plus the 5G for each phone makes it extra.
Oh, that hurts my soul.
I mean,
that's
okay, let me see.
That's a lot of bread.
The phones will be $1,349, $1,499, and $2,000.
$2,000 for a phone. My chest.
Not to mention they released the Galaxy Z Flip.
Oh yeah, it's like a flip phone.
Yeah, so like if you know the Motorola Razr.
Yeah.
They just released that. It doesn't have much specs, but it's like the flip phone, but it's new. It has new specs and stuff like that. But pretty much they're doing that for the Z Flip, but all of pretty much all of their new specs and all of the latest and greatest specs are going in to that. But that's going to be a hefty price too. That's going to be around $2,000, $3,000. So
I'm not paying $2,000 for a phone.
Nah.
Nope, not me. All right, well,
I
was...
might.
Nope, don't you dare. This has been entertainment. Thank you guys for having us.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and we're going ahead and give it back to Dean.
Yeah, Dean?
All right, thank you, Zach and Ayinde, for bringing us up to date in the entertainment world. Last but certainly not least, we have Justin Rogers interviewing Solomon Barnes for Club Corner. Solomon is currently the co-director of the Bridgewater College pep band, so we're going to see what he's got to say about that. So we're going to send it over to you guys.
Hello, everybody. Again, this is Club Corner. I'm your host of this segment, Justin Rogers, and today I have with me a very special guest, Solomon Barnes. How you doing, Solomon?
I'm doing all right. It's my first time doing something like this, so I'm trying
Okay.
to figure out what to do.
Hey, we be good. All right, so Solomon, you are a part of the pep band, correct?
That is correct. I am the co-director of the pep band with my fellow director Carrie Smith, and the head of it, Kyle Remnant.
Okay. So what has your experience been with pep band so far? I know that you've been a percussionist with pep band before.
Percussionist.
Hey, percussion and air quotes, everyone. You've been a percussionist before. We played bass drum. Tell me a little bit about that experience you had before you kind of got in this leadership role.
Well, I mean, story of me in pep band is kind of weird. At first, I didn't really want to do it. But, like, you know, I've been edged on to do pep band. And, like, you know, I was like, why not give it a chance? I was like, all right, fine. Ended up getting, like, a cowbell and a stick. I was just like, I'm just hitting a cowbell on, like, the quarter notes and just ting, 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 ting. I'm like, how can this be fun? But, like, when you listen to it along with the music and, like, everybody playing, everything's just so fun and free. It's just, like, you're just banging a cowbell, but you do it with so much energy and so much, like, liveliness. It's just, it's almost addicting, almost.
Okay. And what does pep band do? So when you think about pep band, what are some of the things you think about, and what are some of the things that you want the audience to know about pep band?
We're loud. In a sense, we're loud, obnoxious, rowdy, and we like to have fun. It's just, we bring fun with both music, with both screaming. That's why we're called Screaming Eagles, because you will definitely hear our voices. Like,
Oh yeah.
It's definitely something that's, you can either hate, all of us or hate us, but we will definitely bring the amount of pep. That's definitely going to happen. So
why is it important to be bringing that pep for every single game? I know you do the basketball games, you do the football games. So let's talk about football for a little bit. What has your experience been like with football, and why is it important to really bring that pep to those games?
Well, when you're just in the stands, you're just sitting there. Everything's like kind of quiet, and especially how far away you are from the field, from the football field, nobody's gonna really hear you. So you have like pep band. You have loud instruments gonna blast you with the sound, and just boom, 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 boom. You got your drum line. So much fun just hearing all these cadences and all the different cadences you just go through, and just you hear a bunch of old tunes that you can just sing along to. We have Take On Me. You got that song. We have, what other song? Hey Baby. You can just sing along. It's just a lot of fun.
Oh man.
Trust me. My favorite one of those along all those is Bad Romance.
Yes.
You can just go around, especially when you just have a drum and just bang on everybody. It's different from the actual song, but it's like, I honestly can't hear it the same. It's just like, da 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 da. It's just like, it's literally addicting. It's so much fun.
And how about for basketball season? Is it a little bit different for basketball season than it is for football? How do you feel about basketball?
It's definitely different, but it's still the same amount of pep. You have a more condensed space, so you're not like out in the field having to be as loud as possible. There's a drum set instead of bass drums and a what's the tom, whatever those four things are.
Yeah, quads.
Quads.
There you go.
I'm not a band person. I don't even know. I am actually just a choir person.
Okay.
Somehow I've got this. Somehow I'm a band person now. I blame pep band, so it's so much fun. I'm not gonna down it because you can't. it's just there. But
Yeah.
other differences, there's a lot louder because of that condensed space. Their voices carry, and honestly, there's some things that you can and can't get away with when you say it. So you gotta make sure you like bring down what you say, or like be careful with what you say.
Yeah.
Because other times you're like, when you're on a football field, you can like sometimes yell certain things, but like
Yeah.
when you're at a basketball court, it's easily to be heard.
Yes.
So there's things you gotta do, like respectfully disagree.
Yes.
So yeah, instead of just like blurting out random BS, you just I respectfully disagree.
There you go.
So
There you go.
yeah.
Okay, and from someone who is on leadership, because you are a co-leader, one of the leaders, what do you feel that is your impact for Pep Band on those games, both football and basketball, if you want to talk a little bit about both of those?
Well, I'd say my impact is to bring fun. It's
Yeah.
not meant, Pep Band is not meant to be really serious. It's meant to be, it's volunteered first off. So you don't just have to be on it for a specific reason. You just asked to be on it, you could be on it. You could literally, like how I started with a cowbell. I was asked to be on it by one of my friends. I was like, you know what, fine, why not? Did it and moved from cowbell to bass drum, and now I'm a director. It's just like you don't have to like you don't have to, what's the word?
Like have musical experience.
Yeah, you don't have to have musical experience. You don't, as long as you can just keep a beat, just dun, dun, dun,
Yeah.
you'll be fine. We'll find a place for you, no matter what. So.
And it seems like when I've seen the Pep Band before, it seems like its own little cheering section. It's not even just music, but just having different chants and things like that. Like I've definitely have seen that from the Pep Band. So as far as like cheers and stuff go, what is your like experience with that? I know for basketball it's a little bit more than football. So
It's definitely a lot more for basketball.
yes.
With our Eagle Eye, we got Noah Flint.
Hey.
Have all the chants and everything. We have let's see, what's a good one? We just have during when they shoot foul shots, you just scream random BS.
Yep.
You just go. Noah just goes recall. I'm just like, what is he doing? Sometimes
Yeah.
just look up there like, how do you think of the things you do?
Yes.
And what else? There's other ones. We just created new one, Stampede, where you like just stomp the floor and just create as much
Yeah.
noise as possible. Another one, everybody clap your hands and just clap, 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 tap, 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 tap.
Yeah.
And it's so much fun. It's like when you look onto the stadium and or look onto the other side of the crowd and like you see everybody actually clapping their hands. It's just like, oh wow, like it's so much fun to just watch and just see everything that's happening.
Oh my gosh. So the impact of Pep Band goes far beyond music.
It goes way far beyond music. It's a lot.
So you were talking about some of the cheers that you do and some of your favorite music. Real quick, 2 or 3 of your favorite moments while being in Pep Band. Football, basketball, or even maybe I know Pep Band has been at like when like freshmen come in and stuff like that. What are some of your favorite Pep Band moments?
I have a lot, actually.
Okay.
Not more than I expected, but...
All right, let's hear them.
Well, was a freshman and sophomore year when I first joined. There's these 3 people. It was Sean, Josh, and Alex. They all graduated now.
Yeah.
But they'd have this one thing where they say, I've got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell. And then you just see Josh just going to town on a cowbell.
Yep.
Going up and down, little risers and stuff. This
Yeah.
is on the basketball court, which is even better. And you
Yeah.
just see him go, like, on it's a timeout. He literally goes onto the basketball court and just goes to town on a cowbell. Even sometimes he just goes on the floor and just spins in a circle. I'm like,
Yep.
you have so much energy and all of that. Again, I mentioned Bad Romance. Just anytime we do it, it's just so much fun. You just literally just jumping up and down to the beat, banging a cowbell, banging a drum. It sucks now because now I have to actually conduct and actually go 1, 2, 3, 4 and be focused. But in my head, I'm literally jumping up and down. Another one is the booty crank.
Ooh.
Especially as a bass drummer, it's sitting there, boom, doo doo doo. I was like, just doing the booty crank in general. It looks weird, and when you like on an outsider looking in, it's just like, what are they doing? But it's so much fun, and it just brings all the pep band members together.
Yeah.
And even the cheerleaders sometimes do it, and just
Yeah.
I feel like the booty crank is actually like one of the more traditional things that pep band, just cheer in general, pep band, dance, cheer team, all those people, we all do the booty crank together.
Yeah.
So I guess those were part of my moments.
Okay. And how has pep band kind of changed or emerged from like when you came in as a freshman now to a senior? What are some things that changed about it? What are some things that improved about it?
There's been changes in leadership from originally being with Dr. Creo, and then she became the head chair. So then we had Miranda Fitzgerald doing it, and now we have Kyle Remnant.
Yep.
There's been like ups and downs, but not like much differences. I'd say now it almost feels the same as it did freshman year. Maybe like sophomore and junior was kind of like a big slip up. I don't know if it's because of the change in leadership and like confusion and all that.
Yeah.
But it's definitely been, there has never been a shortage of pep. I'll just say that. There's never been a shortage of wanting to be there and having fun.
Yes.
So I'd say everything's been more or less the same.
Okay. All right. And as you said a little bit before, just talking a little bit about, okay, who can join. You said almost really if you don't really have to play an instrument, but that would help.
Definitely would
It
help.
would help. So if someone is thinking about possibly joining pep band, what would you say to them? Or who would be able to join pep band as well?
I've already said like literally anyone can really join pep band. If you play an instrument, that's better. We have so many seniors now that are leaving next semester or next year.
Yeah.
They graduate in like 2 months, which is kind of wild.
Oh,
and
man.
like, not to remind you.
Oh, graduation.
Yeah. But it's just anyone can join. Specifically, we like need clarinets. We only have 2.
Yeah.
And even seniors who graduate, they can come back and just play for a few times. Just play for us a few times. If you don't play an instrument, if you just want to join, we'll find a place for you. We'll hit you again. You'll hit a cowbell. You'll hit a wood block. You'll have a shaker. You have tambourine. We literally have any instrument you can hit, shake, rattle. You can do anything. We'll find a place for you. So.
Yeah, and you were mentioning a little bit about some of faculty and staff also being on pep band. What is that like a little bit?
It's nice seeing like alumni and teachers and all those different more, not to say older people, but just a lot alumni and other people just coming back just to have fun with what they once had, with what they once loved, and now it's just like, oh, it's nice to see people just want to come back rather than feel obligated to come back. You're never obligated to come back. You want to. It's something you want to do.
Okay. And let's maybe go a little bit outside of, okay, who wants to join? Maybe kind of the perception that of pep band. Like, what would you say, again, give like a little, you have a little bit, but like if you could have like a little like 1 minute snapshot. This is what pep band, this is what it does. What would you say?
We're a bunch of rowdy, annoying, loud, passionate, lovable. What else is there? There's a bunch of lovable, passionate, rowdy. Just cheer. We're just pep. We're pep in every aspect of the word pep. That's basically what we are.
That's good. Well, thanks, Solomon, for coming on for another rendition here of Club Corner. If you guys ever go to a basketball game next year or a football game next year, be looking out for the pep band, cheer them on a little bit, as well as our football and basketball teams. Again, Solomon, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
All right. See you guys.
All right. Thank you, Justin and Solomon, for sharing with us about BC Pep Band. All right. I think that's going to wrap it up tonight for BC Voice Radio. Thanks for everybody who tuned into the midweek BC Voice Radio Show. Once again, I'm your host, Dean Barker. This was my first time hosting. It was a pleasure being on here, pleasure hearing all these great things about the world in Bridgewater College. So we look forward to hearing from you next week. Take care and go Eagles.